Tag TV, and Tag Radio. Technology now has a voice of innovation and information. Get it on www.tagtvonline.com. Homeland Security, officially defined by the National Strategy for Homeland Security as a concerted national effort to prevent terrorism attacks within the United States, reduce America's vulnerability to terrorism, and minimize the damage and recovery from attacks that do occur. Other nations around the world have also recognized government activities consistent with Homeland Security and are increasingly coordinating these activities, creating a huge global, worldwide market for technology focused on airport security, port security, and even supply chain security. Enter ScanTech, founded by Georgia Tech grad Dolan Falconer and Henry Sutherland, recently recognized by the Technology Association of Georgia as a top 10 most innovative companies in the state and a People's Choice winner by the state technology leadership at the recent Georgia Technology Summit. Greetings, everyone. It's Tuesday, August 5th, 2008, and this is Tech Talk with Technology Association of Georgia President Tino Mandela. ScanTech is a homegrown and rapidly expanding Homeland Security technology leader now entering the world stage. The advanced technology company designs and manufactures systems that scan baggage and cargo for materials such as explosives, drugs, and radioactive substances. Their unique applications can help prevent terrorism and smuggling. And they have been recognized by state lawmakers such as Georgia Senator Saxby Chambliss and Johnny Isakson, as well as Representative John Lewis of Atlanta. ScanTech and the worldwide market for Homeland Security technology is today's Tech Talk, as the Atlanta-based private company is quickly becoming the world leader in X-ray and electron beam technologies. Tino speaks with ScanTech co-founder, President and Chief Executive, serial entrepreneur, and graduate of Georgia Tech, Dolan Falconer, a former co-founder of a leading national nuclear engineering and environmental services company, and an inductee into Georgia Tech School of Engineering Academy of distinguished alumni. Homeland Security is the Tech Talk for today, as Tino speaks with Dolan Falconer.
Dolan, thank you for joining me on Tech Talk.
Thank you.
Let's jump right into this. You're in a pretty busy sector. I think there's some major players in that sector that might be perceived to have dominated this area in the past. Have you been able to differentiate and create a competitive advantage with your technology?
Yes, Tino. As a small guys in the business, we have to innovate and do better than the bigger guys. We primarily sell to governments, and as you know, the larger companies have a better chance of that business model working out for them. What we've done is we focused on expanding the technology to the point where we are actually the leaders. We dominate the market. In this particular area, we have 12 patents that have been approved, and 10 are pending around our ability to use X-rays in a very special way. For years, we've done security basically using X-rays to image the contents of a container or a handbag. And imaging is fine when you're looking for something like a gun or a knife. It's easy to say, aha, that's a gun, or aha, that's a knife. But how do you say, aha, that's nitroglycerin, or aha, that's TNT, or aha, that's uranium? When you're looking for substances, they don't have a hard shape that you can identify it easily in a security setting. What we've done is we've invented and expanded a technology that enables X-rays to not only image but also discriminate the material type to determine the species of the materials within the container. And by doing that, now we can tell the difference, the issue with the ball of water, whether or not it's water or say nitroglycerin for a traditional X-rayer. It's a hard challenge. You can't tell the difference between nitro and water in a water bottle. Therefore, we have to take these substances, these liquid substances out of our briefcases and baggage as we go through airports.
Now, you're suggesting that that might be a change if they incorporated your technology, or would they still need to do that?
It will most definitely serve as a basis for the change.
Yeah.
Everybody is aware of the inconvenience of airline travel now. The problem is that it's very difficult to identify the threats that are the major challenges. Take TNT, for example. On a traditional X-ray, you can't tell the difference between soap and plastic explosives. That's a substantial challenge to the airline industry. As a result, it takes a lot of time to get through the checkpoint as the screeners attempt to do this very difficult thing of identifying these potential threats that may be inside of your luggage.
So, 9/11 came and certainly went, and there was a major flurry of activity from Homeland Security. The department was established, major investment in the resources to make us all safer. And now some time has elapsed, and I think people still know that there is Homeland Security and there's an investment here, but has it slowed down or flattened out over the past years, and does that affect a company like yours?
It's a major impact on a technology startup. As you know, once you get through the R&D phase, you're really looking for customers. And right now the market has been a little slow in the United States. There are a couple of things that have contributed to the slowdown in the sector. One is that the world claims that Americans have short memories. We are, when things happen, give it a few years and we'll forget about it and we move on. Another issue is that the focus of the government has primarily been in the war in Iraq, and large amounts of funding and capacity and resources have been focused there over a number of years. As a result, there really hasn't been the ability to support and finance a very strong Homeland Security effort here in the United States. As a result of all of this and no attacks over the last few years, there has been a substantial slowdown. What we've done as a company is that we have basically extended into an international model. We quickly realized that this was happening after 9/11, and we began to focus in the Middle East, in the North Africa regions, in Indonesia, and the Pacific Rim. We focused on countries that were close to the bad guys and were actually experiencing ongoing attacks. As a result, the governments were very sensitized to the issue and were in fact looking for solutions and spending substantial amounts of money to do Homeland Security for their homelands. And as a matter of fact, our first contract is an international contract.
Right. That was just announced, and congratulations on that. One of the things that probably our listeners would be wondering is that don't travel quite as much to some of these more exotic places, more places that are under the gun all the time. What level of security do they have as opposed to the U.S. When you go in and check in and all? I mean, is it more rigor? I know in Israel, you see that there's lots of military. I mean, they were one of the first to do that. But how about the other countries?
The other countries are expanding the effort to do security like we do here in the United States, and they are at this point transitioning to, I think, a security posture that's a little stronger than we have here. They are, in fact, looking for new technologies. The technology area for security has been stagnant for a number of years. Prior to 9/11, the whole effort was around making things cheaper and quicker. It was almost a nice-to-do thing, and no one really took it very seriously. After 9/11, everything changed. The problem is that technology can't take a vertical leap. It takes time and investment in order to expand technology, and we're just now bringing. That means the industry in general. We're just now bringing in these new technologies that we think will substantially improve security worldwide, and now it's a matter of getting these new systems and new technologies funded and deployed in a commercial setting.
So there's always a mixed being a traveler, and many of us are in this whole area of technology. You don't want the hassle, but you also want to be safe. It's kind of a dual-edged sword. The elements of technology like your company has developed, can you feel comfortable talking about that in respect? Does it make people safer?
Yeah, let me. It's a very tricky discussion area. We're very careful in the business of not giving the bad guys too much information,
right.
And it's we also walk a fine line of trying not to scare the traveling community. Let me give an example here that is fairly well known now, and I don't think I'll give anything away. The issue with liquids in your handbag is that we can't tell whether it's water or nitroglycerin, for example. That's a substantial challenge. How we attacked this was because we didn't have a technology that could do it. They wanted us to take out the liquid bottle from our bag, and we minimize the volume, so we can only take very small amounts on. Right. And the way that works is that by limiting the amount, we limit the bad consequence. And what that means is that they're not stopping you from. They still can't tell whether it's water or H2O, but they say H2O or nitroglycerin, but they're going to give you so little nitroglycerin that you can carry on that it will not be a substantial risk on the plane. That's a crazy way to do it. What we've done as a technology company is we've identified a technology and developed a technology that will allow you to determine whether it's nitroglycerin or not. Therefore, you won't be able to take any nitro onto the plane. And so it's a substantial challenge. The key is that these systems are more expensive than the older systems, and the whole economy of air travel has to be reconfigured to pay for this new level of security.
Well, a layman at this, but I'm guessing that some of the listeners will be wondering the same thing I do in respect to, maybe we can't go into this very far, but nitroglycerin, as much as I know about it, you don't need a whole lot to do some damage, so I guess maybe I'm wrong about that.
It is a challenge. As you know, the 9/11 event was perpetrated by a number of people on a given flight. So even if we limit the volume,
right,
we can have 8 people carrying that small amount and end up with 12 ounces of the stuff.
Right, right.
So it's as you can see, it's a flawed approach. It's the only approach we have now because we don't have the technology, but it is in fact a flawed approach.
Right. Well, we do have the technology with your company, though, right?
Yes, we're one of several companies that are on the leading edge of solving these and other problems.
Now, another area that Congress just recently mandated was 100% screening of all cargo entering the U.S., and I guess that's by 2010. That seems like it's a major task. How will the federal government accomplish something like that?
Well, let me start with the airports. And we all understand the difficulties we've had with the small carry-on bags. That's a substantial challenge. A cargo container, a Sealand container, a 40-foot Sealand container can contain 10,000 briefcases worth of stuff.
Right.
The challenge of screening this amount of that large container is substantial. It's much more difficult than the challenges at the airport. This 100% mandate is a nice mandate, but quite frankly, the technology is really not there and not deployed. Now, we're one component in that problem. We have a technology. We do screen cargo. We do material discrimination, so we're part of the solution. But the solution is a complex solution, and it's as much an economic issue as it is a technology issue.
Now, ScanTech's moving from the R&D to the actual implementation with your first awarded contract, as I understand it, with the United Arab Emirates.
Yes.
So that's great news for your company and for Atlanta and for our technology community. So tell us a little bit about how a company like yours does that transition from R&D to being an international manufacturer.
Yeah. What we've done is that because the larger players in the sector don't have the technology, we're able to easily partner with them and utilize, it's probably a better word, their immense manufacturing capacity in the joint venture, where we bring the technology and they bring the manufacturing capability, and we basically partner to deliver quantity into the marketplace. We worked very hard in the U.S. to create a channel to commercial deployment. It's just in the U.S. that there's a long research cycle with the Transportation Safety Administration and the Department of Homeland Security to get this technology certified and out into the marketplace. It takes years and years to get through that cycle. A lot of bureaucracy in our government. Other countries tend not to operate under such a large bureaucratic model. You have one person in the United Arab Emirates that if you get to them and they like what you're doing and they're convinced, they just simply say, go and do it. It's a very easy equation. And as a result, we've been able to do that. They want the top technology. What we have to do is to establish the partnerships in order to assure that we can deploy and maintain and operate this equipment to the level that the customer expects.
What's the optimum rollout in respect to this first client?
We are right now, our first contract was for the first 5 systems to be delivered. We're expecting another 150 system order here. We're negotiating that to take care of the first airport that we've been awarded, and we're looking at another 7 to 10 airports in the region over the next 2 to 3 years. So we're talking about 1,000 systems. Again, these are our checkpoint systems in the airport. There are smaller systems. We're also in negotiations concerning our cargo inspection systems, which are much larger systems. They sell from anywhere from $12 to $20 million a piece.
Now, going back to a comment you made, and then we'll wrap it up, but you mentioned the U.S. is slower on the uptick, as we all know, and you know, in some ways they are looking at all security measures. But are you through that process now? Can you actually deliver your product and install it in the U.S., or is that still in process?
The U.S. is still in the process of determining the standards of what is considered to be an acceptable system for deployment at the checkpoints at the airports. The checkpoint system is a system where you put your laptop or your carry-on luggage on, and it goes through the X-ray machine. Those are the same machines that were deployed prior to 9/11. They have not changed those machines at all. What the government is doing is going through a process of looking at prototypes and looking at various technologies, and they are, in fact, preparing to make their first series of awards to deploy systems in a pilot configuration. That program will take probably another 12 months, 18 months to get through the pilot, and then we will go to a mass acquisition once the standard has been set. Again, very prolonged, very methodical approach to the problem, and that's just the way we do it here in the U.S.
It's interesting comment that you made, because I think for some of us the idea that nothing has actually changed at the checkpoint is interesting. You would think that had happened, but as you describe it, looks like what we've done is we've thrown a lot of people at the problem,
yes.
And you know, with TSA, and you know, there's more rigor in respect to the checking, but nothing's changed in terms of the technology, even though technology is advancing so fast in so many sectors. So
absolutely, the checkpoint is in fact safer than it was prior to 9/11. I don't want to lead you to think
right.
that it's not. But they've attacked the programs, the people, the training,
right.
Those elements. The screening procedures are much more rigorous now. However, the technology is still under study before the government will commit to a mass deployment of a particular technology.
Okay, well, thank you for joining me on Tech Talk today, and best wishes and best of luck with ScanTech moving forward.
Tino, thank you very much for your warm interview, and give us a call anytime in the future. Okay?
Thank you.